Most epic survival stories in history. Some people survive things that should absolutely kill them. And today we're talking about the most insane how the hell are you still alive stories in human history that'll make you question everything you know about the limits of human survival. Look, we've all had bad days. Maybe you missed your bus, spilled coffee on your shirt, or your phone died at 2%. But the people in this video, they survived falling 33,000 feet without a parachute, getting struck by lightning 7 times, and floating alone in the ocean for over 4 months. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the most absolutely bonkers survival stories that actually happened. We're talking about people who should be dead 10 times over, but somehow lived to tell the tale. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never complain about a bad day again. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's no way these stories are real. Trust me, I thought the same thing. But I've fact-checked every single one of these through multiple sources because some of this stuff is so crazy it sounds like a movie plot. But it's all real. Every terrifying, impossible bit of it. Let's start with what might be the most absolutely no-way survival story ever recorded. Meet Vesna Vulovic, a 22-year-old flight attendant who survived something that should have turned her into human confetti. It's January 26, 1972. Vesna is working on JAT Yugoslav Airlines Flight 367, just doing her normal flight attendant thing. Serving drinks, checking seatbelts, probably dealing with annoying passengers. The plane is cruising at 33,000 feet over Czechoslovakia when suddenly, boom, a briefcase bomb explodes mid-flight. The entire aircraft gets ripped apart like a tin can. 27 people on board, and 26 of them die instantly. But Vesna? She's still strapped to a piece of the plane's tail section, falling through the sky at terminal velocity. 33,000 feet. That's like falling off 12 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. She hits the ground in a heavily wooded, snowy area in Czechoslovakia. And somehow, she survives. Fractured skull, 3 broken vertebrae, both legs broken, fractured pelvis, and she's in a coma for 27 days. But she wakes up. She learns to walk again. And get this? She goes back to work for the same airline. Just at a desk job this time because apparently even Vesna has limits. The odds of surviving a fall from that height are basically 0, like mathematically impossible. But Vesna said, "Nah, I'm good" to physics, and lived to tell about it. But if you think surviving a 33,000-foot fall is crazy, wait until you meet the guy who got struck by lightning 7 times and lived. This is Roy Sullivan, a park ranger from Virginia, who apparently had a personal beef with Mother Nature herself. Because this man got struck by lightning not once, not twice, but 7 different times, and survived every single one. Roy worked at Shenandoah National Park, and for some reason, lightning just could not leave this guy alone. It was like he had a giant "Strike Me" sign floating over his head that only clouds could see. Strike number 1 happens in 1942. He's in a fire lookout tower when lightning hits, burns a strip down his leg, and blows a hole in his shoe. Most people would think, well, that was unlucky, and move on with their lives. Not Roy. Lightning strike number 2 comes in 1969 while he's driving his truck, sets his hair on fire. Strike 3 in 1970 hits a power transformer that jumps to his shoulder. Strike 4 in 1972, hair on fire again while he's in a ranger station. By this point, Roy is starting to think maybe he should find a new career. But no, he keeps working outdoors. Strike 5 in 1973. He actually sees storm clouds forming and tries to drive away, but the cloud literally follows him like some kind of weather stalker. Strikes 6 and 7 happen in 1976 and 1977. The 7th one finally puts him in the hospital with burns on his chest and stomach. 7 lightning strikes. 7. The odds of that happening are roughly 1 in 10 octillion. That's more zeros than there are stars in the observable universe. Roy earned the nickname Human Lightning Rod, and honestly, at some point you have to wonder if he just really pissed off Zeus or something. But getting repeatedly zapped by lightning is nothing compared to what happened to our next survivor, who got hit by something from outer space. Meet Ann Hodges from Alabama, the first and only person in recorded history to get smacked by a meteorite and live to complain about it. It's November 30th, 1954. Ann is just chilling on her couch, probably watching TV or reading a magazine, living her best suburban life. Meanwhile, somewhere in space, a chunk of rock is hurtling toward Earth at thousands of miles per hour. This meteorite, about the size of a grapefruit, comes screaming through the atmosphere, breaks into 3 pieces, and one of them crashes through Ann's roof, bounces off her radio, and smacks her right in the thigh. She wakes up with a massive bruise and probably the most unique "how did you get hurt" story in human history. Oh, this? I got hit by a rock from space while watching TV. The odds of getting hit by a meteorite are about 1 in 700 trillion. You're more likely to win the lottery while getting struck by lightning during a shark attack. But Ann just shrugged it off like, well, that happened. Getting hit by space rocks is pretty wild, but our next guy survived something that should have been absolutely impossible. This is Harrison Okene, a Nigerian cook who survived something straight out of a horror movie. Picture this. You're trapped underwater in a sunken ship for 60 hours in complete darkness, and somehow you don't die. May 2013. Harrison is working on a tugboat called Jascon 4 off the coast of Nigeria. It's early morning, he's in the bathroom, just doing normal bathroom stuff, when suddenly the entire boat flips over and starts sinking. The boat goes down fast. Harrison gets trapped in the overturned bathroom as the ship sinks 100 feet to the ocean floor. He's in his underwear, in complete darkness, with freezing water slowly rising around him. But here's the miracle. When the boat flipped and sank so quickly, it created an air pocket in that bathroom. Harrison finds a mattress and some other floating stuff to keep himself out of the water as much as possible. For 60 hours, he sits in this tiny air bubble at the bottom of the ocean, probably thinking he's going to die. Rescue divers show up expecting to recover bodies. They're using underwater cameras when they hear tapping on the hull. One diver goes to investigate and nearly has a heart attack when Harrison grabs his hand. The guy thought it was just another dead body until it moved. 60 hours underwater in an air pocket. The rescue footage is absolutely insane. You can hear the diver freaking out when he realizes Harrison is alive. Talk about beating impossible odds. But surviving underwater is nothing compared to what our next guy went through in one of the most hostile places on Earth. This is Sir Ernest Shackleton, and his survival story is so epic it sounds like someone made it up. Picture being trapped in Antarctica for almost 2 years with no way to contact the outside world, and somehow everyone lives. It's 1914. Shackleton and 27 men sailed to Antarctica on a ship called the Endurance, planning to be the first people to walk across the entire continent. Sounds simple enough, right? Wrong. So very wrong. Their ship gets trapped in pack ice just 1 day away from their destination. They're stuck. For months. The ice doesn't melt, it gets worse. Eventually, the ice crushes their ship like a tin can and they have to abandon it. Now they're camping on floating ice in Antarctica with 3 small boats and whatever supplies they could grab. For months, they drift on this ice, hunting seals and penguins, waiting for the ice to break up so they can use their boats. When the ice finally starts breaking apart, they launch the boats into some of the most dangerous waters on Earth. After days of fighting massive waves and freezing temperatures, they make it to Elephant Island, basically a frozen rock in the middle of nowhere. Here's where Shackleton does something absolutely insane. He takes 5 men and sails 800 miles across the Southern Ocean in a tiny boat to get help. This is like sailing from New York to Florida in a rowboat during a hurricane. Not only do they make it to South Georgia Island, but Shackleton then has to climb over unmapped mountains to reach a whaling station. When he finally gets help and returns to rescue his men, every single person is still alive. All 28 men survived almost 2 years in Antarctica. This story is so epic they've made multiple movies about it. Shackleton basically said, "Death is not an option," and made it stick for 28 people in the worst place on Earth. But even surviving Antarctica pales in comparison to our next story, a guy who spent over 4 months floating alone in the Pacific Ocean. Meet Poon Lim, a Chinese sailor who holds the record for the longest time survived alone on a life raft at sea. And when I say alone, I mean alone. Just him, the ocean, and his will to live. November 23, 1942. Poon Lim is working as a steward on a British merchant ship when a German U-boat torpedoes them. The ship goes down fast, and Lim finds himself floating in the Atlantic Ocean with nothing but a life jacket. After 2 hours of swimming, he spots a life raft and drags himself aboard. The raft has some basic supplies, water, food, flares, but only enough for maybe a few weeks. Lim figures rescue will come soon. It doesn't. When his supplies run out, Lim gets creative. He makes a fishing hook from a spring in his flashlight, uses canvas to collect rainwater, and catches seagulls with his bare hands. When he runs out of fresh water, he does something absolutely desperate. He catches a shark and drinks its blood. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months. Ships pass by but don't see him. Planes spot him and drop supplies, but storms blow him away before rescue can arrive. For 133 days, this man survives alone on a tiny raft in the middle of the ocean. Finally, a Brazilian fishing boat spots him just 9 miles off the coast of Brazil. When they pull him aboard, Lim has lost 20 pounds but is somehow still alive and conscious. 133 days. That's over 4 months floating alone in the ocean. The British Royal Navy was so impressed they changed their survival manuals based on what Lim did. He literally rewrote the book on ocean survival. But surviving at sea is one thing. So there you have it. People who fell from impossible heights, got zapped by lightning multiple times, survived in Antarctica for 2 years, and literally came back from being frozen solid. These folks looked death in the face and said, "Not today." The human body and spirit can survive things that seem absolutely impossible. When everything goes wrong, when the odds are stacked against you, when logic says you should give up, sometimes the most ordinary people do the most extraordinary things just by refusing to quit. And speaking of people who refuse to quit, you need to check out my video about the most evil human experiments in history. Because while these people survived incredible accidents and natural disasters, others had to survive things that humans deliberately did to them. And trust me, some of these experiments were so twisted and horrifying that they'll make you lose faith in humanity. Seriously, wait until you hear about Unit 731 and what they did to prisoners during World War II. It's nightmare fuel that'll make these survival stories look like pleasant afternoon adventures.